A fishing hook tears free in a storm, leaving a mark that lasts a lifetime. For the global economy, the last few months have been that storm, a total shipping blockade that finally ended this morning. This chart shows the immediate impact of the reopening. The crude oil market is already stabilizing, with the positive green percentage shift here proving how quickly the industry exhales when delayed supply starts to flow again. This aerial view shows the physical reality of that data, a massive oil tanker, isolated on a calm sea, finally mobilizing. It's one of hundreds of vessels that can now move through the freshly opened straits. Traders like Azan Mirza thrive in the shadows of this uncertainty. Their profit margins are born from blocked passages and nervous markets. Now that the routes are open, his professional edge is vanishing. A global crisis can be resolved on a financial ledger in seconds. But for the individuals whose lives are tied to the physical movement of these goods, the end of a blockade often marks the beginning of a much more personal period of terror. Inside a cramped apartment in Karachi, the air is thick with the smell of engine grease and yesterday's lentils. Azan has spent the night refreshing feeds until the screen burned his eyes, exhausted by the very chaos he trades in. His anxiety is anchored to one specific freighter. His brother is on board, waiting for the signal to sail. His last message was a binary choice. If the strait opens, I sail. If not, we vanish. Azan obsessively checks the digital data feeds, using the abstract numbers to mask a complete lack of physical control. If he can track the crude prices, he can pretend he's tracking his brother. Mathematical complexity can map global chaos with incredible precision. However, that data provides no protection against the visceral fear of losing a relative to the same currents that carry the cargo. International maritime trade is a fragile web of debts and brokered favors. When a blockade occurs, it creates a backlog, straining every node. Once cleared, that pressure releases violently, forcing a sudden surge of movement globally. Azan dials the number. The ring cuts through the static, but there is no answer. He paces the room, his scar itching under his cuff, as the psychological weight of the silence begins to settle. A bulk carrier like this one is an immense physical presence, yet it's completely vulnerable once it leaves the harbor. On the open water, these massive vessels are isolated, subject to the whims of the sea and the sudden shifts of a cleared passage. Azan's mind is a storm of warnings from his global network. He hears the voices of suppliers from Colombo and brokers from Hamburg, all echoing the same cold truth. The sea doesn't care about the market. The global trading system is designed to track every barrel of oil with perfect accuracy. Paradoxically, it has no mechanism for tracking the human beings who actually move the oil from one side of the world to the other. Maxims about the fragility of peace flood Azan's memory in half-remembered languages. He hears that peace is a crack we mend every day, and that even when it arrives, the lost sea keeps calling. These multilingual market philosophies are a constant reminder of the physical debts owed to the ocean. Regardless of what the economic indicators say, the sea demands its due. He presses redial. Again. The short, brutal punches of the unanswered rings are fracturing his memories of their certain future. Human risk has been a permanent feature of global trade since long before modern tracking. These crowded harbor docks from decades ago show the same reliance on labor that exists today, a gamble that has always been built into the foundation of commerce. The world has developed 11 distinct languages to discuss commerce and profit, yet none of them provide a way to translate the sudden, absolute silence of a ship that hasn't checked in. One last dial. Nothing. The line stays dead. The period of anxious waiting ends, replaced by a hollow, certain realization. This container terminal shows the scale of the global machine. It will continue to move millions of tons of cargo, entirely unaffected by the fact that one specific crew member has stopped answering his phone. Azan folds his prayer rug slowly. He notices the crack in the wool is deeper now, mirroring the scar on his hand. Both are permanent records of moments when something was lost to the storm. Outside, the harbor lights are steady. The tankers are gliding through the water again. Life in the city is shifting back to normal, but inside the apartment, the silence remains. The global ledger tracks the volume of the oil, but it has no column for the voice of the person who moved it. The system functions by moving forward through these specific individual silences that we simply agree to ignore.